Have you ever felt stuck, like your days are just blending into each other, and no matter how much you want to change, you always end up back in the same routine? You wake up tired, you scroll endlessly, you promise yourself tomorrow will be different, but it never is. What if I told you that in just 1 week, you could completely shift the way you feel, think, and live, not with some magical solution, but with 5 simple, powerful habits? Sounds too good to be true, right? That's exactly what I thought until I tested them myself. And here's the best part. These aren't time-consuming or complicated. In fact, they're things you can start doing today, no matter how busy, overwhelmed, or unmotivated you feel. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 5 self-improvement habits that changed my life in just 7 days, mentally, physically, and emotionally. If you've ever felt like you're falling behind in life, like you've lost your spark, or like you're meant for more but don't know how to begin, this is for you. Stick around to the end because I'll also share the personal mindset shift that made all the difference. Let's dive in. Habit 1. Wake up early. Let's kick things off with habit number 1. And this one is a game changer. Waking up early. Now I know what you might be thinking, aha, I'm not a morning person. Trust me, I used to say the exact same thing. I was the kind of person who'd hit the snooze button 3, 4, sometimes 5 times. My mornings were rushed, chaotic, and filled with stress before the day even began. I'd grab my phone, scroll through social media, skip breakfast, and end up running late to everything. Sound familiar? But here's what I didn't realize. The way you start your morning often sets the tone for your entire day. If your day begins in a panic, chances are you'll carry that anxious energy with you into everything else you do. But if you can take ownership of your morning, even just a little, everything changes. So one day I decided to try something different. I challenged myself to wake up at 5 a.m. for just 1 week. Was it easy? No. Was it worth it? Absolutely. The first few mornings were rough. I felt groggy. I kept asking myself, why am I doing this? But something started to shift by day 3. I found this beautiful sense of stillness in the early hours. Before the emails, the notifications, the world demanding my attention, there's something magical about watching the sky slowly lighten, hearing the quiet hum of a world still asleep. It's peaceful, it's grounding, and most importantly, it's your time. That extra time gave me space I didn't even know I needed. I started doing simple stretches, nothing fancy, just a few movements to wake up my body. Then I'd meditate for 5 minutes, focusing on my breath, setting an intention for the day. Sometimes I'd journal, other times I'd just sit with a cup of coffee and think. This alone made me feel more centered and prepared. I wasn't scrambling to catch up, I was leading my day. And here's what's wild. This small shift started solving a bunch of problems I'd been struggling with. I used to say I didn't have time to read, exercise, or reflect. Suddenly I had time for all 3. I used to feel like my mind was foggy in the morning. That fog lifted. I used to dread the day ahead. Now, I looked forward to it. Let me give you an example of how this played out in real life. There was a week where I had back-to-back deadlines, social commitments, and just chaos. Old me would have collapsed under the pressure. But because I had this morning routine in place, I woke up each day with clarity. I reviewed my priorities, mapped out my tasks, and reminded myself, you've got this. I didn't just survive that week, I felt proud of how I handled it. Calm, focused, and in control. And honestly, that felt amazing. Now before you roll your eyes and think, that sounds great, but I could never wake up at 5 a.m. Hold on. Waking up early doesn't mean waking up before sunrise and doing yoga on a mountaintop. It simply means waking up earlier than your current self. If you usually get up at 8, try waking up at 7:30. Even just 15 or 30 minutes can give you a sense of breathing room. Time to focus on you before the noise begins. And what you do with that time is just as important. Don't just scroll your phone. That's not your time. That's giving it away. Instead, try something simple and intentional. stretch or do 5 minutes of movement. Meditate or breathe deeply with your eyes closed. Write 3 things you're grateful for. Review your goals for the day. Make yourself a slow, mindful cup of tea or coffee. These don't take hours, but they build momentum. They remind your brain, I am showing up for myself today. And if you're thinking, but I'm exhausted in the morning, ask yourself, what's causing that? Are you sleeping too late because you're binge watching Netflix? Are you checking emails in bed? Is your phone the last thing you see at night? If so, part of waking up earlier is going to bed earlier. It's not about doing more. It's about trading empty time for intentional time. Let me be real with you. This habit won't magically fix your entire life in 24 hours. But after just 1 week of waking up early with purpose, I felt mentally sharper, emotionally calmer, and honestly, prouder of myself. And that's something you can feel too. So if you feel like you've been living in a loop, wake up late, rush through the day, go to bed drained, repeat, this is your exit ramp. This is your chance to step out of the fog and take control of your day before the world gets a chance to hijack it. Try it for 7 days. Set your alarm just a bit earlier. Use that time intentionally. Reflect on how it makes you feel. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to show up. I promise, if you give this a real shot, you'll start seeing the ripple effects not just in your morning, but in your entire life. So that's habit number 1. Wake up early. All right, let's keep it moving, literally, with habit number 2. Daily exercise. Now, before you sigh and think, here we go again, another person telling me to go to the gym, pause for a second. Because this habit isn't about getting 6-pack abs or training for a marathon. It's about movement, intentional, consistent movement, and how it can completely shift your energy, mindset, and mood in just 1 week. Here's the truth. I used to hate working out. I had every excuse in the book. I'm too tired, I don't have time, I'll start next Monday, or my personal favorite, I'm just not a workout person. Sound familiar? But I hit a point in life where I felt stuck. I was sluggish, unmotivated, my mental health was all over the place, and I kept asking, why do I feel like this? The answer, I wasn't moving my body at all. I was sitting all day staring at screens, overthinking everything, but not giving myself a single outlet for release. So I made a small commitment. Move my body every day for 1 week, not to lose weight, not to hit a goal, just to see how I'd feel. And I knew the difference was immediate. I started simple. 20 minutes a day. That's it. Some days it was a brisk walk around the block. Other days, a short YouTube yoga session. When I had more energy, I'd do a light jog or some bodyweight exercises at home. Squats, lunges, push-ups, nothing fancy. At first, yes, it was hard. My legs were sore. I wanted to quit on day 2. But by day 4, I noticed something strange. I wanted to move. I actually looked forward to it. Why? Because for those 20 minutes, I wasn't checking my phone. I wasn't worrying about work. I wasn't overthinking life. I was just present in my body, in the moment. And the best part, it started changing my mood. I felt lighter, less anxious. I wasn't snapping at people or carrying the weight of the day around with me. I started smiling more. My confidence went up, not because I looked different, but because I felt more capable. Here's a real-life example. One morning, I woke up feeling totally off, stressed, groggy, a million things on my mind. Old me would have stayed in bed, scrolled social media, and spiraled into stress. But that day, I laced up my sneakers and went for a slow jog. The air was crisp, the sun was rising, and I let myself just breathe. By the time I got home, I felt brand new. The stress hadn't disappeared, but my mindset had shifted. I was no longer overwhelmed. I felt ready. That's the power of daily exercise. It's not punishment. It's a gift. It's 20 minutes where the only thing that matters is you showing up for yourself. Another example, yoga. I used to think yoga wasn't real exercise. But one day I gave it a try, and it was humbling. It wasn't about sweating or burning calories. It was about connecting with my body, Noticing how I felt, learning to breathe deeper, learning to slow down. That 20-minute flow became my sanctuary. It taught me patience, presence, self-respect. Now let's talk practicality. How can you apply this habit today, especially if you're busy, tired, or just not motivated? Here are a few tips that worked for me. 1. Remove the pressure. Don't aim for an hour at the gym. Aim for 10 to 20 minutes of any movement. Walking, stretching, dancing in your room, it all counts. 2. Keep it fresh. Switch it up. Try a YouTube workout one day, go for a bike ride the next. Boredom is the biggest motivation killer. Variety keeps it fun. 3. Schedule it like a meeting. Don't leave it up to chance. Pick a time, maybe right after you wake up or during lunch, and commit. Show up like it's non-negotiable. 4. Track your progress, not your weight, not your calories. Track how you feel. Write down, today I moved for 15 minutes and afterward I felt energized, proud, calmer, more focused. Let your feelings be the measurement. Now I get it. Some days you'll feel tired. Some days life will get in the way. That's okay. You're human. But remember, exercise isn't about perfection. It's about momentum. Even 5 minutes is better than nothing. Let's say you've had a stressful day at work. Instead of collapsing on the couch and drowning in your phone, step outside for a short walk. Breathe. Let the movement release the tension from your body. It's not about intensity, it's about intentionality. And if you're dealing with anxiety, self-doubt, or just feeling emotionally drained, movement can be medicine. Not a cure, but a tool. It helps release pent-up energy. It shifts your perspective. It reminds you that you are strong, capable, alive. So here's your challenge. For the next 7 days, move your body every day, just 15 to 20 minutes. Make it fun. Make it something you look forward to. And most importantly, make it a way to reconnect with yourself. I promise by the end of the week, you'll not only feel better physically, but you'll feel mentally clearer, emotionally lighter, and more in control of your life. So that's habit number 2, daily exercise. Simple, intentional, transformational. Ready for the next habit? Let's move into something that transforms your mind just as much as this one transforms your body. Okay, we're already at habit number 3, and this one might surprise you. Journaling. Now before you click away or think, that's not for me, hear me out. Because I used to feel the same way. For the longest time, I thought journaling was something only super organized people did. Or maybe people going through something dramatic and emotional. I never saw myself as someone who would sit down at the end of the day and write in a notebook. I didn't think I had time, I didn't think it would help, and honestly, I didn't know what I would even write about. But one day I decided to try it. No pressure, just 10 minutes a night, for 1 week. And what happened changed everything. Let me paint the picture. The first night I sat on the edge of my bed with a blank notebook and pen in hand. The page stared back at me like, well, what you got? I had no clue how to begin. So I started with something simple. How did my day go? That's it. I wrote about what went well, what sucked, and what I was feeling. It wasn't poetic. It wasn't deep, but it was real, and it was mine. Over the next few days, something strange started to happen. I started looking forward to those quiet moments. The journal became a space where I could unpack the mess inside my head without judgment. I didn't have to filter anything. I could just be honest. And that's the power of journaling. It gives you permission to slow down, to process, to check in with yourself. Something most of us never do because we're too busy reacting to everything around us. Here's what I discovered during that 1 week. 1. Clarity. I started to see patterns in my thoughts. For example, I noticed that every Monday I felt anxious. So I dug into why. Was it because I had too many meetings? Was I not prepared? That simple awareness helped me adjust how I planned my week. 2. Emotional release. One night, I had a super stressful day at work. Instead of letting it fester, I wrote it out. What triggered me, how I reacted, and how I wish I had responded. By the end of those few pages, I felt lighter, like I could finally breathe. 3. Self-awareness. I started writing about things I didn't even realize were bothering me. Insecurities, fears, even dreams I had buried because I thought they were unrealistic. Journaling gave me the space to reconnect with parts of myself I had ignored. One of the biggest turning points for me came on day 5. I had a minor win at work, something that would have normally gone unnoticed. But that night, I wrote it down. I celebrated it. And when I looked back at my entries from earlier in the week, I realized just how far I'd come, even in a few days. That's when it clicked. Journaling is self-acknowledgement. It's telling yourself, I see you, I hear you, you matter. And honestly, that's powerful. Now, if you're still unsure how to start, here's what I recommend. Try this simple journaling structure. Takes less than 10 minutes. 1. What went well today? Celebrate even the smallest wins, like I drank more water or I didn't snooze my alarm. 2. What was challenging? Identify what drained your energy or triggered stress. 3. How did I feel today? Don't overthink it. 1 or 2 honest sentences is enough. 4. What am I grateful for? Write down 3 things. They can be as simple as a good cup of coffee or a smile from a stranger. This tiny ritual can shift your mindset faster than you think. You stop obsessing over what went wrong and start appreciating what's going right. One night, I wrote about how someone helped me carry groceries when I was struggling with a heavy bag. It was such a small moment, but reflecting on it made me feel so grateful, and it made me want to pay it forward the next day. That's the ripple effect journaling creates. Now let's talk real life. Maybe you're dealing with anxiety, or you feel like you've lost touch with yourself. Maybe you're overwhelmed with decisions, unsure of what you really want. Start journaling. Don't worry about being good at it. No one's grading you. Your journal isn't a public blog. It's for you. Raw, unfiltered, and real. If writing every night sounds intimidating, start with 2-3 times a week, maybe after a long day or when your thoughts feel heavy. Keep a notebook by your bed or use an app. Whatever feels natural. The key is to start. You can't get the benefits without showing up, even imperfectly. And if you're still skeptical, let me ask you this. When was the last time you gave yourself permission to just think, without distractions, without judgment, without performing? That's what journaling offers. In just 1 week, you'll feel the shift. More clarity, more peace, more connection to yourself. So that's habit 3, journaling, your daily conversation with your own mind. A tool for reflection, growth, and healing. Start with a blank page. You might just fill it with the answers you've been searching for. Now, let's move on to something that may surprise you even more. How the way you eat can completely change how you feel. Let's keep the momentum going with habit number 4, mindful eating. And trust me, this one goes way deeper than just what's on your plate. I want you to think about this for a second. When was the last time you really paid attention to your food? I don't mean snapping a photo for Instagram or checking the calories. I mean sitting down, tasting every bite, and actually experiencing your meal with 0 distractions. If you're anything like I was, you probably can't remember. For the longest time, my meals looked like this. Phone in one hand, fork in the other, scrolling through emails, watching YouTube, or mindlessly snacking while working. It was fast, distracted, and automatic. And I didn't realize how disconnected I was from what I was eating or why I was eating. It wasn't until I tried mindful eating for a week that I realized food is more than just fuel. It's feedback, it's self-respect, and it's one of the most overlooked ways to improve your well-being. So what exactly is mindful eating? It's the practice of slowing down, being fully present with your meal, and tuning into your body's signals, hunger, fullness, satisfaction, emotions. All of it. Let me walk you through what I did that week and what I learned. First, I set a very simple rule: no screens while eating. That alone was a game changer. No phone, no TV, no laptop, just me and my food. I sat at a real table, even set a place for myself like I was at a cafe. I took a few deep breaths before I started, not to be fancy, just to ground myself. At first, I felt weird. Sitting in silence with a bowl of oatmeal, I was tempted to reach for my phone every 30 seconds. But the more I stuck with it, the more I began to notice, wow, this actually tastes good. Foods I'd eaten 100 times suddenly had depth, the sweetness of the fruit, the crunch of the nuts, the warmth of the oats. It felt like tasting in high definition. One morning, I was eating avocado toast. Normally, I'd wolf it down in 5 minutes and barely remember it. But this time, I actually savored it. The crisp bread, the creamy texture, the slight saltiness. And when I finished, I felt genuinely satisfied. Here's why that matters. When you eat mindfully, you're less likely to overeat, stress eat, or emotionally binge, because you're actually there for the experience. You're not numbing out with food, you're building a relationship with it. A few days into the week, I noticed something big. I wasn't snacking as much between meals. Not because I was forcing myself, but because I was actually full. Mindful eating helped me hear my body's "I've had enough" signal, something I used to ignore completely. Now let's talk real life again. Ever come home from a stressful day, open the fridge, and start eating straight from the container? Yeah, been there. That's emotional eating, and it's so common. But here's the thing. That moment isn't really about hunger. It's about escape. What mindful eating taught me is to pause before eating and ask, am I really hungry right now? Or am I just stressed, bored, or looking for comfort? One evening, I had a huge craving for chocolate after dinner. Normally, I would have gone for it without thinking. But that night, I asked myself, is this actual hunger? Or am I just mentally drained from the day? Turns out I was exhausted, not hungry. So I made a cup of peppermint tea instead and just sat down to relax. That moment felt like a small victory, not because I resisted chocolate, but because I chose consciously instead of reacting automatically. That's the core of mindful eating, not restriction, not guilt, just awareness. Another surprising benefit, my digestion improved. No more bloating or heavy feeling after meals. Why? Because I was chewing slowly, breathing, and giving my body time to do its job. I stopped treating meals like pit stops and started treating them like self-care. So how can you start this habit today? Here's a super simple plan, mini 5-step mindful eating ritual. 1. Pause before your meal. Take 2 to 3 deep breaths. Set an intention to be present. 2. Sit down at a real table, even if it's just for a snack. Honor the moment. 3. No screens. Put your phone on airplane mode for just 10 to 15 minutes. 4. Eat slowly. Chew more. Put your fork down between bites. 5. Check in halfway. Ask, am I still hungry? How does this food make me feel? You don't need to be perfect. Some days you'll forget and eat lunch at your desk while watching TikToks, and that's okay. But the more you practice, the more you'll realize food isn't the problem. Your disconnection from food is. And honestly, reconnecting with food helped me reconnect with myself. If you're struggling with body image, binge eating, or low energy, start here. Mindful eating isn't a diet, it's a relationship. One rooted in respect, patience, and presence. I promise, in just 1 week of eating this way, you'll feel more energized, more in control, and more at peace with your body. So that's habit number 4, mindful eating. A quiet revolution you can start with your next bite. Up next, we're talking about something that's stealing your time and energy every single day without you even noticing, and how to take it back. We've made it to habit number 5, and it might just be the hardest one yet. Limiting screen time. Now, I already know what you're thinking. Yeah, I know I spend too much time on my phone, but I need it. For work, for staying connected, for entertainment. Believe me, I get it. Our screens are like an extra limb at this point. Always there, always calling our attention, always just a swipe away from distraction. But let me ask you something honestly. How do you feel after a 2-hour scrolling session? Do you feel energized, inspired, fulfilled, or do you feel kind of numb? maybe a little anxious, maybe a little empty. That's exactly where I found myself. I wasn't just using my phone, it was using me. Every spare moment was filled with checking something: social media, emails, videos, random articles I didn't even care about. It became a reflex. But the worst part, I didn't even realize how much time I was losing until I tried to take it back. So here's what I did for 1 week. I challenged myself to limit my non-essential screen time to just 1 hour a day. This meant no mindless scrolling, no endless YouTube rabbit holes, no just one more episode Netflix binges, only intentional screen use, work, messages, calls, and then I had to unplug. The first day was honestly tough. I kept reaching for my phone without thinking. It was like my brain had been rewired to fill every quiet moment with digital noise. But by day 2 or 3, something wild happened. I had time I didn't even know existed. Instead of watching TikTok for an hour after dinner, I went for a walk. Instead of falling asleep to YouTube, I read 10 pages of a book I'd been meaning to start for months. Instead of scrolling through my feed while eating lunch, I actually sat there, breathed, and just enjoyed the quiet. And I'm not going to pretend I was perfect. There were moments when the temptation hit hard, but every time I chose presence over distraction, I felt stronger, more in control. One night in particular stood out. I was sitting at a cafe with just a notebook and a pen. No phone, no music, just me and my thoughts. I ended up writing out some ideas I'd been stuck on for weeks, ideas that probably would have never surfaced if I'd been glued to my screen. That was the moment I realized screens weren't just stealing my time, they were stealing my mind. I wasn't bored, I was overstimulated, constantly consuming but never creating, always connected but rarely present. So here's what I want to share with you. Limiting screen time isn't about going off the grid or deleting all your apps. It's about reclaiming your attention, being intentional, choosing when and how you engage with technology instead of letting it control you. Let me give you a few tips that made this shift manageable, even life-changing. Practical ways to limit screen time. 1. Set app limits. Use the built-in screen time settings on your phone to cap apps like Instagram, YouTube, or TikTok. You can always override it, but that extra step makes you pause, and sometimes that's all you need. 2. Create phone-free zones. Start with your bed. Charge your phone outside the bedroom and replace nighttime scrolling with reading, journaling, or meditation. You'll sleep better, guaranteed. 3. Schedule scroll sessions. Instead of reaching for your phone randomly, set a 20-minute window in the evening for entertainment. It turns passive usage into intentional usage. 4. Replace the habit. Every time you catch yourself reaching for your phone out of boredom, do something else. Stretch, step outside, write a thought down, sip tea, play with your pet, anything that brings you back to the real world. Now let's address the big one. FOMO, the fear of missing out. We all feel it, the fear of missing a message, a trend, a moment. But here's the truth. What you're really missing out on is your own life. The sunsets you didn't watch, the thoughts you didn't think, the conversations you didn't have because your eyes were glued to a screen. That fear, it fades. And what you gain is focus, creativity, peace, and time, the one thing you can never get back. If you're someone who struggles with anxiety, distraction, lack of motivation, try this habit. 1 week, 1 hour a day. See how it shifts you. And if you're overwhelmed by where to start, here's your day 1 action step. Delete just one app you know is wasting your time or move it off your home screen. Then spend 30 minutes today doing something offline, just for you. Go for a walk without music, sit on the floor and stretch, write in a notebook, cook something slowly, look out the window, reclaim that time, and I promise you won't want to give it back. So that's habit number 5, limiting screen time. Not about quitting technology, but about choosing real life more often than we choose the feed. And that's it. Those are the 5 self-improvement habits that truly changed my life in just 1 week. Now, I'm not here to tell you to change your entire routine overnight or become some productivity machine. That's not the goal. The goal is progress, not perfection. If any part of this video spoke to you, if even one habit made you think, hey, I could try that, then that's already a powerful first step. Because here's the truth. Change doesn't come from one big decision. It comes from small, intentional choices, made consistently. Maybe for you, it's waking up just 15 minutes earlier, or taking a short walk instead of reaching for your phone, or writing down one thought before bed. Whatever it is, start small, start now, and trust the process. Your future self will thank you. If you've made it all the way to the end of this video, thank you so much for spending this time with me. I know your time is valuable, and I genuinely appreciate you being here. If you found any value today, it would mean a lot if you could. Give the video a like to help more people find it. Subscribe if you'd like to explore more content like this together. And drop a comment below. I'd love to know, which habit are you going to try first? Or what's one habit that's already made a difference in your life? I read every single comment, and I'm always inspired by the stories you share. Until next time, remember, small steps add up. Tiny shifts lead to big transformations. And the life you want? It's built in the little things you do each day. Take care, stay kind to yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.